Before we begin, make sure you're somewhere quiet. Turn off the lights. Put on your headphones. Because the stories you're about to hear aren't just scary. These are the kinds of experiences people don't talk about. If you enjoy true horror stories, unsettling encounters, and disturbing events that happen to real people, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Now, let's begin. I want to be very clear about something before I tell this story. The scariest part wasn't that someone was stalking me. It was that he never did anything illegal. That's why nobody believed me. I was 24 and had just moved into a small apartment complex on the edge of town. Nothing fancy. 2 floors, identical doors, narrow hallways that smelled faintly of cleaning chemicals and old carpet. The kind of place where everyone keeps to themselves. I worked late shifts at a printing warehouse, which meant I usually got home around 1 or 2 a.m. The parking lot was dim, lit by only 3 working lights, and most nights it was completely empty. The first time I noticed him, I didn't think anything of it. He was standing near the stairs, smoking. Tall. Hoodie pulled up. Face hidden in shadow. I nodded politely as I passed. He nodded back. Normal. The second time, he wasn't smoking. He was just standing there. Same spot. Hands in pockets. Watching the parking lot. I remember thinking it was strange, but again, not illegal. Some people just linger. The third time is when my stomach dropped. I pulled into the parking lot and saw him already there. Not near the stairs this time. Near my parking space. He didn't move when my headlights hit him. Didn't flinch. Didn't turn away. He just stepped aside calmly so I could park. I didn't say anything. I locked my car the second I stepped out. As I walked past him, he spoke. Long shift. His voice was calm. Friendly, even. I froze. I had never spoken to him before. Yeah, I said, forcing my voice to sound normal. He nodded slowly, like he was confirming something. Thought so. I didn't ask how he knew. I just walked inside. That night, I checked my peephole 3 times before going to bed. Over the next week, I started noticing patterns. He was always there when I got home. Always. If I came home at 1:17 a.m., he was there. If I came home at 2:03 a.m., he was there. But never early. Never late. Like he knew exactly when I'd arrive. Sometimes he stood by the stairs. Sometimes by the vending machine. Sometimes leaning against the railing on the 2nd floor. Always visible. Always calm. Always watching. He never followed me inside. Never knocked. Never spoke unless I spoke first. Which made it worse. I mentioned it to the property manager. She smiled politely. Lots of people hang around here, she said. As long as he's not bothering you, there's nothing we can do. That's when I started paying closer attention. He wore the same shoes every night. Same hoodie. But his shirt underneath changed. Which meant he was going home. Which meant he lived nearby. I started taking different routes home. Stopping for gas. Parking farther away. He adapted. If I parked closer to the exit, he stood closer to the exit. If I parked near the dumpster, he stood near the dumpster. Always visible. Always silent. One night, I got brave. I stopped walking. He stopped too. We stood there, maybe 30 feet apart, under the buzzing parking lot light. Why are you always here? I asked. He tilted his head slightly. I live here, he said. That's not what I mean. He smiled. Not wide. Not creepy. Just satisfied. You notice things, he said. Most people don't. My blood ran cold. After that, things escalated. Not fast. Slow. Calculated. I started finding small things out of place. My doormat turned slightly sideways. My trash bin lid closed when I remembered leaving it open. Once, my windshield wipers were lifted up. Not damaged. Just lifted. A message without words. I installed a cheap camera inside my apartment. Nothing happened inside. Ever. But outside. The footage showed him standing in front of my door at night. Not knocking. Not touching. Just standing there. Sometimes for minutes. Sometimes for over an hour. Just facing my door. Perfectly still. I called the police. They came. Watched the footage. Shrugged. He's not doing anything, one officer said. He's allowed to stand in common areas. The next night, he was back. Standing farther away this time. Like he knew. One morning, I woke up to a note slipped under my door. No handwriting. Printed. One sentence. I like that you lock your door early. That's when I moved. I didn't pack everything. I didn't leave a forwarding address. I stayed with a friend across town. For 2 weeks, nothing happened. Then one night, my friend asked me a question that made my chest go numb. Hey, she said casually, do you know a guy who wears a grey hoodie? I didn't answer. She continued. He's been standing across the street every night this week. Never comes closer. Just watches the house. I never saw him again. But sometimes, when I get home late, I check the parking lot first. Just in case. For a long time, I didn't think I was being stalked. Because I was never followed. That's what messed with my head the most. I was 29, working as a night auditor at a small hotel just off the highway. My shift ended at 6 a.m., which meant my sleep schedule was upside down. I'd get home just as the sun was coming up, sleep through the day, and wake up around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Quiet hours. Empty streets. At first, nothing felt wrong. Then small things started happening that didn't make sense. Every afternoon when I woke up, my phone battery was lower than it should have been. Not dead. Just lower. I assumed background apps. Updates. Normal stuff. One day, I checked my screen time log. My phone had been unlocked at 11:48 a.m. I was asleep at 11:48 a.m. I live alone. I changed my passcode. The next day, the same thing happened. Different time. Unlocked. Screen used for less than a minute. I panicked and installed a security camera inside my apartment, facing the living room and front door. Nothing happened. Days passed. No movement. No alerts. I started feeling stupid. Then the timing started. Every single day, without fail, my phone buzzed at exactly 12 p.m. No notification. Just the vibration. I checked system logs. Nothing. I turned the phone off. At 12 p.m., it turned itself back on. I told myself it was a glitch. Until one day, I woke up early. Around noon. That's when I noticed something I wish I never had. The light under my front door. A shadow passed by it. Slow. Measured. Someone was standing outside. I didn't move. The shadow didn't either. Minutes passed. Then it left. No knock. No footsteps. Just gone. That's when I checked the camera footage. There was nothing. No video. No error. No gap. Like the camera had simply not recorded that moment. Things escalated after that. My alarms stopped working. Not randomly. Specifically on days I had important things scheduled. doctor appointments, meetings, family events. Always late. Always missed. My laptop cursor would move slightly on its own while I was working. Just enough to notice. Just enough to make me question myself. One night, I stayed awake deliberately. Lights off. Silent. Sitting on the couch. At exactly 4:12 a.m., my TV turned on. Static. I didn't touch the remote. I unplugged it. The screen stayed on. Then my phone buzzed. A text message. From an unknown number. You don't need alarms if I'm watching the time. I called the police. They came. Checked everything. Found nothing. No forced entry. No signs of tampering. They told me to change my Wi-Fi password. I did. The next day, my Wi-Fi password was written on a sticky note on my kitchen counter. In my handwriting. But I hadn't written it. I started sleeping with my bedroom door locked. Every morning, it was unlocked when I woke up. No damage. No scratches. Just unlocked. One afternoon, I found my apartment rearranged. Not ransacked. Adjusted. My chair angled toward the window. My couch shifted slightly. My shoes lined up neatly by the door. It felt like someone had been studying how I moved. I stopped going home after work. Slept in my car. Slept at co-workers' places. The timing followed me. For 12. Always. Phone vibrations. Lights flickering. Once, a car horn outside. I changed my number. That night, I received a message on my new phone. That wasn't for me. I broke down. I installed multiple cameras. Motion sensors. Door alarms. Nothing ever triggered. Because he didn't rush. He didn't sneak. He moved only when I wasn't looking. The worst part came when I finally confronted the idea that he didn't need to be inside my apartment. He already knew everything. One night, I received an email. No subject line. No sender name. Just text. You fall asleep at 6:43 a.m. You turn in your sleep at 6:51. You wake briefly at 7:02. Those were exact. Perfect. I moved out the next day. Different city. Different job. Different routine. The timing stopped. Mostly. But sometimes, when I check the time out of habit, it's for 12. And my phone vibrates. No notification. Just a reminder. That I was never followed. Because he never needed to walk behind me. The first time I noticed him, I didn't actually see him. I saw the absence of myself. I was 32 and worked as a freelance videographer, mostly weddings, small documentaries, and local ads. Because of that, I was used to looking at footage frame by frame, noticing details most people ignored. That's important. Because if I hadn't been trained to notice small inconsistencies, I don't think I would have survived this. It started with a mirror. I was brushing my teeth one morning before heading out to a shoot. I glanced up at the bathroom mirror, and for just a fraction of a second, my reflection lagged. Not like motion blur. Like it moved after I did. I froze. My reflection corrected itself immediately. I laughed it off. Fatigue. Bad lighting. Early morning brain. But over the next few weeks, small things kept happening. My reflection blinked when I didn't. My phone camera opened on its own, then closed. My laptop webcam light flickered briefly at night. Nothing dramatic. Nothing obvious. Just enough to feel wrong. The first real incident happened while I was editing footage. I was cutting together a wedding video shot at a hotel ballroom. I'd filmed most of it myself, but some clips were from a second camera placed at the back of the room. I scrubbed through the footage. Paused. Rewound. There was someone standing behind the guests. Someone who wasn't there during the wedding. Tall. Plain clothes. Face angled down. Standing directly behind me. I knew every person who attended that wedding. I'd reviewed the guest list. That man wasn't on it. I checked the raw footage timestamp. He appeared for exactly 9 seconds. Then he stepped backward, out of frame. I checked the footage from the main camera. Nothing. No one behind me. No movement. I checked another angle. Still nothing. Only one camera caught him. And it was the camera I hadn't been near. I told myself it was someone walking by. But the positioning didn't make sense. He wasn't walking. He was waiting. I deleted the clip. That night, I noticed something else. My bathroom mirror was slightly angled differently than usual. Not broken. Not tampered with. Just adjusted. Like someone had stood in front of it longer than I had. I live alone. I started covering my mirrors at night. It didn't help. Because reflections don't only exist in mirrors. A few days later, I was reviewing dashcam footage from a client's car. I paused on a frame to adjust color balance. In the reflection of the review mirror, he was there. Standing in the back seat. Looking forward. I felt my stomach drop so hard I thought I might throw up. That car was empty. I had personally filmed it. I rewound. The reflection disappeared. I scrubbed frame by frame. For exactly 4 frames, he was visible. Never directly. Always reflected. I called my sister and asked if I could stay with her for a few nights. She agreed. The first night at her place, I slept fine. The second night, I noticed her hallway mirror had fingerprints on it. Not smudges. Distinct finger placement. At shoulder height. Too high for me. I didn't tell her. The third night, she asked me something that made my blood run cold. "Hey," she said casually, "why were you standing in the hallway last night?" "I wasn't," I said. She frowned. "I saw you in the mirror when I went to the bathroom. You were just standing there. I left that morning. I stopped using mirrors altogether. I shaved by feel. I used my phone camera only when necessary. I taped over my laptop webcam. That's when the recording started showing things I never filmed. Short clips. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. Always silent. Always from angles that made no sense. My bedroom doorway. My kitchen corner. The inside of my closet. Always empty. Except for reflections. A reflective surface would show him, standing just out of view. Never facing the camera. Always facing me. I never saw him directly. Never felt breath. Never heard footsteps. But the recordings became more frequent. More intentional. One night, I reviewed footage I didn't remember recording. The timestamp was 3:14 a.m. I was asleep at 3:14 a.m. The clip showed my living room. Lights off. TV screen black. In the reflection of the TV, he was sitting on my couch, looking directly at the camera. I slammed the laptop shut. I didn't open it for 2 days. When I finally did, there was one new file. No name. No extension. Just a date. The file opened automatically. It was a recording of me, standing in front of my bathroom mirror, staring, not moving, for over an hour. My face expressionless. Eyes open. I don't remember doing that. At the end of the clip, my reflection smiled. I did not. That's when I realized something that still keeps me awake. He wasn't following me. He wasn't watching me. He was waiting for me to notice. I destroyed every mirror in my apartment. Smashed my TV. Sold my cameras. Got rid of everything reflective. For a while, it stopped. Then one morning, I caught my reflection in a dark window while walking to work. And for just a moment, I wasn't alone in it. I don't look at reflections anymore. Because if I ever see him clearly, I don't think it'll be through glass. I think it'll be because he's finally done hiding where I can't see him.